Mic check one, two, mic check one, two. Welcome to another installment of the Weatherford Speaker Series. I am super delighted today to have one of my good friends I've been knowing since 2013, all the way back at UNT in Denton, Mr. Arthur Lumzy Jr. And I'll let him provide his title and where he's currently at. He's still in higher education, but has an extensive career in career services, student services, all things related to student success and outcomes, as it were. And so happy for him to be able to share with our organizational leadership courses in class. And Arthur, please take it away, sir.
Sure, absolutely, Dr. Pullam. Hello, my name is Arthur Lumzy Jr., and I serve as the Executive Director for Student Career Preparedness at East Texas A&M University. Prior to that, I was the Director of Career Services at UNT Dallas. Prior to that, I was the Assistant Director at UNT, University of North Texas. Prior to that, I was the Manager of Career Counseling, as well as a career counselor at the University of Southern Mississippi. And prior to that, I was actually a graduate hall director. And that's actually how I was able to get into career services through an internship in the career services office that afforded me the opportunity to test drive the career field. So I definitely stress the importance of internships and getting a chance to test drive your career field before you have the opportunity to graduate.
Excellent, excellent. So when we think about some of the courses that our students are taking, a couple in particular, ethics and leadership, conflict and negotiation, leadership theory one and two, and then data-driven decision making. But when you think and when you hear the word or the phrase organizational leadership, what comes to mind in your perspective?
For me, two things come to mind. One, strategic alignment,
Hmm.
as well as cross-campus collaboration. So from a strategic alignment standpoint, that's thinking about how the various things connect, like where we are in the spoke of a wheel
Mhm.
and how we play a part in making sure that the wheel is turning from a visual standpoint. And so using our office as an example, and students basically they're coming to college to land a career.
Mhm.
And our office is central to that. So there lies the strategic alignment, meaning that they're coming to college, but we're playing a huge part in that. And so from a campus collaboration standpoint, yes, we're part of it, but we're not the only part.
Mm.
In order for me to fulfill my mission, I have to work with other departments, whether that's counseling services or student transition and support, or my friends and pals in student affairs to actually, uh, and faculty, which are huge stakeholders, to actually get the job done. And so those are the two things that I think of from an organizational leadership standpoint, meaning that it's not just me, it's not just my department, it's where we are in the ecosystem and how we can leverage partnerships and relationships to accomplish the goals, mission, and develop the strategies to get things done and move things forward for our students.
Excellent, excellent. So bringing together all of the various pieces that make success happen,
Mhm.
because success is different um, depending on what we want as an outcome. So certainly, um, I mentioned one of the classes, ethics and leadership. Can you share a time when ethics or integrity guided a tough decision you had to make?
Hmm. I would say working with an employer
Hmm.
and how they wanted uh, um, exclusivity, or meaning their tailored goals and objectives that went well beyond the scope of um, what we would. Yes, we provide exceptional service to employers, but they were wanting um, things that may come across as being they challenge my ethics or integrity.
Mm.
And so I had to resist the temptation of uh, falling in that, while also trying to make sure that I'm looking at my true stakeholders, which is our students, and making sure that things are done in a, as we would say back home, decent and in order. But that means fairness and transparency,
Okay.
and things that are above board. And um, so I had to respectfully decline the arrangement, but tell them the parameters that we could operate in so that they would know that, yes, they can recruit here, but it has to be done in a certain way. And I wanted to make sure that I was looking out for our students and alumni's best interests, and not just from uh, a certain lens, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I think we saw a lot of that when we were in Denton, especially when we talk about career fairs and
Yes.
and the positioning of where employers would be to the front door, to the back of the fair.
Yep.
The real estate was very important,
Yes, sir.
and we had to find equitable ways to, whether you signed up first or it wasn't about, you coming in and dropping an additional $1,000 because you wanted to be at the front door. Uh,
Yep.
but yes, it did. Some employers were very persistent
Absolutely.
about some of the things they wanted to do on campus. But yes, the next question is describe a challenging conflict or negotiation you faced. What strategies helped you to resolve it effectively, and how can these students thinking about this future opportunity as a professional, how can they approach conflict and negotiation?
Absolutely. So it's funny you mentioned career fairs in space, because that's actually where I was going with that, from uh, people wanting high value real estate. And
Mhm.
so, and making sure that throughout the process, number one, and this is what I use in dealing with any type of conflict, you always want to make sure you're deploying active listening, because you want to make sure that people feel heard. Listen not to respond, but listen with the intent to actually hear what the person is requesting.
Mm,
And then also too, uh, try to use data. Look, if there's a way to use data, in this particular instance from a career fair, you only have so many spaces. Some people you're gonna make happy, some people you're not gonna make happy. And so you have to um, see if your decision can be fact-based.
mm,
And then lastly, if there's a way to have shared goals, let's make it happen. But I always say lead with the understanding of keeping the students first. And whenever you're having a situation, lead with keeping the mission first. That's the importance, and that can help you to navigate things when you have a conflict, or when there's time to negotiate. Keep the mission first. Uh, Make sure you're listening, and use data. If you can do those three things, it's going to save you a lot of heartache and grief. Yes, you may tick a few people off. And guess what? In life, that's a part of leadership. You- So, but if you're making data driven and data informed decisions, and if you're trying to create opportunities for win-wins, you're more often than not, you're going to end up on the right side of success.
absolutely, absolutely. Are there any particular leadership theories or styles Um, in other words, transformational, servant, situational, that influence how you lead personally?
Oh, I would definitely say servant leadership. Um, as one who is a practicing Christian who don't always get it right, and actually, I'll be the first to tell you I'm more wrong than right. But I try to make sure that I prioritize my team. I try to make sure that I prioritize the students and try to lead with the example of trying to have their best interests, number one, and then number two, how can I go about removing barriers,
Mhm.
uh, whatever's in the way, and then thirdly, um, I just got off a call and we were discussing predictive analytics, but the word that stuck with me was predictive, meaning
Mm.
an initiative. And if I can see things before they happen because I've been in this space a while, then let me speak up, whether that's raising that concern from a mentor mentee standpoint with those that I lead, or scaling it up to my bossing and running it up the flag and letting them know, like, um, my perspective and sharing that. And at the end of the day, of course, it's their decision, but I want to make sure that I'm providing um, my opinion, but it's also based in insight. And going back to the one of the points that I mentioned earlier, which is data.
Mhm. Kind of good going off into a small tangent.
Mhm.
How has your leadership changed? I know you started the career services program at UNT Dallas,
Mhm.
and now you have a staff where at UNT Dallas you were a one-man show. How does leadership change when you're an individual contributor as opposed to now managing the team? Or does it change?
Oh, it does, 100%. One of the things that I have had to learn is the art of delegating and the art of letting go.
Mm,
Uh, from a delegation standpoint, knowing that I can't do everything and I can't be in every place. So I have to entrust my team members to be uh, uh, to represent me in the best possible way and
mm,
then report back. Versus when it was just me, is being all things to everybody at the same time, which can also sometimes lead to burnout.
mm. Yes.
So I had to make sure that I learned how to um, protect my peace, learn how and when to say no, and learn how to prioritize. And so I learned the skill of, and still learning this one, is project management.
Mm,
And looking at different strategies and techniques for how I'm going to tackle the day because no day is the same. Some days it may be working with students.
mm,
Some day it may be presenting to classes. Others it may be employer meetings, um, meetings with key stakeholders, whether it's faculty or my boss um, or employers. So each day is uniquely different and it's going to require different skill sets to get the job done at hand. And so one of the things that I've learned with that is how I can leverage technology. And well, and that is pivoting to technology, especially for the students of today and the students of tomorrow, leveraging generative AI tools, which is going to be huge in the workforce. And so for me, that looks like leveraging like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, Perplexity, or Adobe for marketing collateral,
mm.
because the world is changing so fast, but you want to make sure that you're staying current with the tools and technology that's going to allow you to be successful. And it's also going to allow you to scale impact.
Yeah. So, thinking about these students matriculating through this program, preparing for graduation, a few more semesters, what practical professional advice would you or do you give to your students going out into the workplace, going out into the first place of employment post graduation? Because we have a lot of students who have been working for a lot of years, but of course, hitting that glass ceiling of you don't have the bachelor degree. But
Mhm.
what would be some of those things that you would launch these students with as advice?
Absolutely. I would say number one, start early. Uh, the the best day to start was yesterday or 5 years or whenever. The second best day is now.
Mhm.
So you want to start, and what does that look like? One of the things that I've always said is you want to make sure that you're branding yourself, whether that's in person and online. So if that's in person, that's gonna look like a professional headshot or a resume that's gonna be reviewed. That's gonna look like having a LinkedIn that's up to date because you know employers are gonna be Googling you. That's gonna look like having a professional attire that is befitting of your industry. Some
Mhm.
is going to look different than others. That's also going to involve having a elevator pitch where you can sell yourself in 30 seconds or less. And that's also going to look like having a mentor, maybe somebody who's 5 years down the road where you want to be, and then maybe somebody that's maybe 20 years down the road where you want to be,
Mhm.
making sure that you're having people that is pouring into you, that's providing inciting advice that's going to help you to grow and develop into the professional that you would like to be, or maybe that you can't see yourself as being, but maybe they can.
Yeah. Well, for our last question, and again, we are so thankful that you've taken your time. Look right here in camera one and take us out of here with whatever it is that maybe my questions didn't cover, but you know, from a career services and professional perspective, they need to know that really because you know most of this is your ability to set yourself apart from those that are attempting to get the same job that you want. What is it that over all of these years that you know that is most helpful for these students who are going to be doing a lot of different things when you talk about organizational leadership and how they could be successful?
Absolutely. I would say half the battle is showing up, uh,
Mm,
being the person that is dependable and reliable. That's probably 60 to 70% of it right there. You will
mm,
beat out a lot of the competition just by being a person that's a man or woman of your word. In that if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Number two, if you can uh, lead with initiative, meaning if you're able to, nobody ever have to ask you to do something because it's already been taken care of.
mhm,
And you know that it's going to be something that you're going to be asked to do, but yet you go ahead and do it. Oh, you're setting yourself up to be promoted.
mhm.
And number three, like I mentioned earlier, the importance of technology. Learn, try to figure out how you can leverage AI for your particular job. If you're able to figure out workflows and um, procedures that allow you to scale impact, you're gonna be you're gonna be a person of great reward. And then number four, the last thing, be a problem solver. Anticipate the problems that are gonna be that you currently have that you're dealing with, as well as the problems that you see on the horizon, and not just that part, but then also try to think creatively from a solution oriented perspective that's gonna see if it can solve the issue. You may
Mm.
not have it right or wrong. You may not have it right, but at the very least, you're trying and you're able to have the insight And that's where having a mentorship or seeking out information that's out there, um, that can lend itself to help solve the issue. Because more often than not, the problems that you have that you're going to be having in the workforce, 9 times out of 10, somebody else has had that same issue.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of um, how did they go about it? And maybe the solution may not be the best fit, but at the very least, you could find and see into the mind of how they've gone about it. So maybe you can think about how you can solve it in this particular setting. And so you want to make sure that you're having the knowledge, the foresight, the insight that's solution oriented.
Mhm.
That's how you add value in the workforce 5 and 10 years and 20 years down the road. That's how you
Absolutely.
actually stay in the workforce.
And that's the most important part.
Yes, sir.
Well, again, thank you so very much. It's always great to have friends who have knowledge, who have experience, and don't mind sharing it. So many times people don't want to share good information or to set you on a path that leads you um, in a way that helps you, actually helps you.
Mhm.
So we're always thankful. Uh, Congratulations on your role there, and I know that you're looking to do even greater things. So we always support that. But from Weatherford College, we thank you so very much for joining with us today.
Not a problem. Thank you. And congrats, Dr. Pullam. I get to say it, throw it back at you. That any success that I have is because of the mentors and colleagues and friends who've helped me along the way. You've definitely been one who's poured into me. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely.